This podcast is sponsored by CDO Group, the industry leader providing a full range of construction and project management services. CDO Group has managed thousands of projects in all 50 states. Their group of experts provides systems, processes, and procedures to make sure that your projects turn over on time and on budget every single time. With over 24 years of experience, CDO Group is the industry's leader in construction management and general contracting services. To find them, go to cdogroup.com. Hi, and welcome to the Future of Development podcast. My name's Anthony Amunategui, and I'm here to inspire people to find amazing careers in the construction development world. If you like our podcast, please make sure you hit the subscribe button down below. If you really like our podcast, make sure you hit the little bell. Welcome to the Future of Development podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Amunategui, and today I'm joined by Hans and Brian from over at Vrex. Their new technology is really helping people be able to immerse themselves into a 3D model, no matter where you are in the world, jumping into it together and collaborating like we've never done before. Their technology is one of a kind. You guys are going to love this show. Let's welcome Brian and Hans to the show. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. We're excited about having you on today. I know you guys are both busy, but before we jump into this, I want everybody to get to know who you guys are. A little bit about you and how you got to the company.
Very excited to be here. Thank you so much, Anthony. Love your show. I've been a listener for a while, and I really like the stories you bring up. I share your love for technology in the construction industry, and that's what brought me into the business where I'm at. I have a strong background from the collaboration industry, bringing Norwegian companies out into the world just in time to handle the pandemic. So that's something that I'm really proud of. I came to find Vrex because they are such passionate, enthusiastic people. They know their skill set. They have such in-depth knowledge of VR and how it can be utilized. And so when I got the opportunity to join the team, I just had to jump on it. So I'm very glad to be here today. And I have my colleague with me, Brian. Brian, you may introduce yourself.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Brian Jenkins. I head up sales here in North America for the Vrex team. I, started on the job site as a child and the son of a builder in New England. And so, I've seen firsthand just, some of the challenges that take place coordinating a job site. Fast forward a couple decades and, a stint in software, sales at different various startups, and then a focus in the construction industry. And then, with a particular focus in VR over the last, 5 years or so. And ultimately, where I'm focused is on how we can take sort of cutting edge, bleeding edge technology and getting it out to the, the folks in the field or the folks in the office to really utilize it and really take advantage of it. And I found these folks just through my network and just sort of understanding the space and, learning more about their product. I actually reached out to Runa, who's the co-founder. I was like, hey, there's a mutual interest here and overlap. And then it just sort of fell into place naturally.
It's amazing. As we go through our construction careers, I mean, I've never had a conversation with anybody that's in technology for construction that doesn't know that construction is so ripe for the growth, right? We're all tired of being cavemen in this business, and all this great technology is available to the world now as we start to apply it to construction. And watching, when I saw your program, when I saw your product, and being able to collaborate inside of a 3D model, I thought to myself, this is. You've moved the pendulum 1,000,000 miles, right? To be able to, and it's not just that I can be anywhere and we all together can be inside the same model. That is, that's changing things, right? I thought at first it was great to be able to be everybody to be on a Zoom call. Great. And we could talk about something. I could put a 2D picture up, right? That was kind of fun, but now to be able to be inside the 3D model, that was legendary.
Yeah. So from my perspective, we're bringing together, three worlds. Yeah. So VR, it's such an amazing tool to shift perspectives and provide insight in the complex 3D models. And the digital collaboration that we've become so familiar with over the last 2 years. It's has an incredible ability to bring people together from everywhere in the world, as you say, Anthony. And with minimum effort, no time consumed, and a low CO2 footprint. And the 3D models, they are the perfect tool to share the complexity of a complex product, complex information. If it's a planned project or a project in a remote location. And I want to talk more about this later, but I envision a future where you can get your resources in to work inside the model from anywhere in the world. Expertise to the challenge that you face in your project, in your model. And of course, you share then the model with the people on the ground on a continuous basis, day by day. Give them the right tasks at the right time, and have a much more efficient job site for every project.
No, I think that's amazing, right? So, what you're talking about is really what the biggest problem in our business is, right? Our biggest problem is, starting from design and communicating to the customer and the team what we're doing here, what we want to do, right? So they can see it. On 2D drawings, here, you and I, the three of us can go look at a 2D drawing and we can, because of experience, we can do it. But, the owner of a business or a company, when we show them 2D drawings, it's really, really difficult. Even if we take 2D drawings and we color them up, right, and they get a little bit of but to get the ratios and aspects and really be able to feel what that space looks like, it's still even difficult there because, we were talking to folks, 9% of all construction projects, 9% of all things that are removed from a construction project are brand new. Right, we go through all kinds of, and just the impact of that across the world on a daily basis, on redoing projects, moving stuff that's not right, stuff that we don't really get until it's in a 3D environment, when it's built, and now someone goes, yeah, I need that on the other side of the room, and the amount of work that it takes to rip that out and do something different over there. The cost to schedule, the impact to the job site, the impact to the morale, right? I mean, people have worked really hard to build that. Now you're ripping that out and they're looking like, oh my God. Okay. All right. Yeah. We'll do it again. And, just all of that impacts us dramatically, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So just imagine a workplace where you start your day in the virtual model so that you understand the building project today and for the next day, and for the weeks to come. Then you will avoid these mistakes. I've heard you talk about you need a good gunslinger on each project, somebody that can throw the bullets at the right time and really shoot on target. And if you have the right gunslinger on the project ends up on time and the cost, everything works well. But if the gunslinger is shot, then the project is out. So you need a good gunslinger on each project. But imagine putting the gunslinger in the model in a central location. Then you can multiply that gunslinger tenfold, hundredsfold. He can be involved in so many more projects than on being on one specific site. So technology is about bringing people together, different trades, different competencies, the young guys that can really thrive in technology, the old guys that can come in with their knowledge, understand the model with the 3D goggles, and you get better building projects.
I want to back up just a little bit so our audience really gets to understand your product, right? Because we're talking about VR, and I really want them to get Vrex and what Vrex does. So that, and we'll get into where it's going to do and all the stuff that's changing. But I think I want the audience to understand having Vrex, what does that do? And let's just talk a little bit about your product.
Yeah, in broad strokes, Vrex is going to be sort of a BIM to VR collaborative platform. So whatever native BIM environment that you're currently working in, you're really going to be able to take those 3D models and bring them into VR in a matter of seconds or minutes. This has a lot of implications in that if you do want to create VR experiences, otherwise that's a really costly endeavor, right? So you have to hire somebody in-house, or you have to hire an outside consultant, et cetera. So when you use a tool like Vrex, it's either there's workflows from Revit or from Navisworks or from whatever you're familiar with to get it into our solution very, very quickly, simply, and easily. And then while you're in this virtual environment, you're able to share that with others, similar to a Teams or a Zoom meeting that you're familiar with. You have an avatar and you have a whole suite of tools that are going to allow you to interact with that model in a way that you are familiar with when you're doing typical design reviews now. So, what we see most often is that people are doing design review meetings either over Zoom or in person by sharing their Navisworks on their screen and kind of walking through issues that way. It's a pretty impersonal experience. I think we all have a fair amount of Zoom fatigue, so to speak. So when you use a tool like Vrex, either on your desktop or in VR, you can invite folks to collaborate in those sessions, mark things up, pull measurements, inspect elements with BIM metadata that's associated with it. And then prior to the meeting, you can set up an agenda with all of your different issues that you want to talk and walk through. And then also, as you do go through this meeting, you're going to find other issues that maybe Navisworks didn't pick up as a clash. And, it's an issue that's in the model that didn't come through in your clash detection. You simply, flag those elements, or basically create an issue with those elements, name them, add comments to them, mark them up, and then that will round trip back into your issue tracking software or your issue tracking workflows.
So let me just get, so everybody gets this. So just like a Zoom meeting, right, where you're looking at people in 2D, you're looking at your group, which is great. You get a little bit of personality, but now you're going into the project in 3D, right? So no matter where they are at, we're collaborating inside the model. So I mean, I think that's a piece that's the really revolutionary piece. It's that not are we just all looking at a 2D, even a 3D image on a 2D screen, right? Where you kind of get something and you get a little bit of it. Now you're actually all inside the model themselves, and inside the model now you have an avatar, right? I was looking at the avatars and they're kind of funny. They got the little guys with the hard hats, and you kind of see where they are at in the 3D model, and you can kind of get perspective of where they're looking from, and they're now interacting in that 3D model as opposed to someone driving it and you taking it, just seeing what they're showing you.
We have had site visits with people bringing 100 people on board into the model, roaming around, doing a virtual site visit, like a grand opening of a building, long before it is before you have put a shovel in the ground. So they do virtual site visits, roam around in the building, have a look at how it feels, and people get lost in the building. And by a touch of a button, you can get everybody crowded up together, and you can go through specific issues.
Where did Anthony go? Where's Anthony at? Look at him. Like, get back over here. Boom. I need that for my kids. All right. Hey, where's the kids at? Get back over here. And little button where I can pull them all back like on a leash. That's awesome. So now we got a group of people, and we can get them back together to pay attention to a certain point, but they also can free flow and go around and check out as they want. But then as something's important or we want to gather and get someone there, we can pull them all back to a certain point.
Yeah, exactly right. And you hit on something important earlier, Anthony, in that, there's a lot of folks who are familiar with 2D, and then you have a lot of folks that are, involved in this project that maybe aren't all that familiar with 3D on a day-to-day basis. So, your BIM specialist or your VDC guy or gal, like, they're going to be able to understand 3D models on a 2D screen because they've done it a million times, right? Whereas if you're working with potentially a superintendent or a trade partner or an owner or an outside consultant who isn't working with 3D every day, when they look at 3D on a 2D screen, it doesn't translate the same way that it does to somebody who works with 3D day in and day out. So innately, VR becomes a medium that is highly effective at translating the design intent behind that model initially in a way that no other medium is able to do.
I think it's awesome. Not just you see it in the design intent, right? So now we are really looking and feeling the space by looking around it and really get a sense of the size and the spatialness of it. And now, as we move forward and we get under construction, being able to, the thing that we're always talking about is how do we paint the picture, right? When we communicate to the owner what our schedule is going to look like, here, when we walk in and go, look, this week we're going to work on this. And we can walk them in, and here's what you plan on seeing this week. We got a boilers going in over here. We've got this over on this floor, and being able to walk around and really communicate a schedule in a whole nother environment, right? Imagine a weekly update report where you're actually showing them in the 3D model what our plans are for next week. At the same time, before subs even get there, we're able to get them into a space where they can see the project and know that, all right, look, here's what you're going to be working on in a much different way than they ever saw before. Me verbalizing, hey, you're going to work on third floor boiler. That's one step. But as I can walk them through the building, here's where you're going to park your truck. Here's how you're going to transition through the building. Here's our construction lift, right? Here's where we go in and out of the space. It communicates such a different way of looking at it. Now think about the imagination of the employees. They can access the building in a different way, and we're painting a much clearer picture as to what we want done as we get into construction.
That's right, and in the next stage, it will be self-service, of course. So you just throw a link out to the entrepreneur, and he will have a look and just go through the issue list and be beamed directly into where he will work tomorrow, the day after, and the next day.
I think that glaze over the issue list, right? I think that's another part about your product that's really amazing is that as we're inside the 3D model, we're actually creating live issue lists that we can create, the spots we're working on and go, all right, look, I'd like to go back and address this when we're out of here. So we have actual lists that we're putting together that are collaborative together, and we're looking at the same item, creating an issue list so that when we go back to describe that issue, we all know what you're talking about, because that's always a problem.
This is super important because, up until, pretty recently, a lot of VR experiences end up being sort of a dead end experience, right? And so people get into the model, they have all these amazing sort of conclusions that they come to, or all these, issues that they're able to find or things that they want to address later. But it ends up being somewhat fleeting because, they're on to the next one while they're in VR, and then they take off their headset and they're like, oh man, what did I just see? And it's hard to recall all of that, especially with any level of detail. So all you simply do is, while you're in VR, is basically whatever you're looking at, you take a screenshot of it, and you can use a voice to text note to title it and to add comments. And all your markups will live there within that issue. And then we have some really amazing integrations with different issue tracking platforms that really is the proper way to sort of round trip this information. But otherwise, you can still add comments, and anyone can sort of add comments and take a look at these issues at any time. Whether you're in that meeting together or not, it's sort of a living, breathing environment, depending on what level of access you give your guests or your users.
Nice. So each user gets a different level of guests, and with that different access, gives them different rights to make whatever notes or changes or whatever we're going to do with.
Exactly. So if you're like a project member, you're going to be able to jump into that file at any moment, and they're going to be able to edit however they see fit. But for instance, let's say you were working with an owner and you didn't want to necessarily give them the full reins. You just give them guest access. They just get a meeting code. They punch that in, and then they can go in and see these issues and make any issues that they may see, and then you can revoke that meeting code when you see fit.
I'll take that back. Let's take that access right back right now. So this is a really important part, right? One of the biggest problems we have with technology is the integration into a team, right? I've seen more projects get derailed because people have this it's either in the office or it's in the field. There's this kind of like blockage to something. By the way, here, it starts with me, right? Every time Apple updates my iPhone, I'm like, what? Right? And then a week later, I get excited about it because I like it. But at first, I have this like hesitation because I just figured out the last update they have. And now you're going to put something new on me. I don't want to look, I don't know what I'm doing. And So there's this little bit of hesitation with new technology. So as Vrex gets into a company and we want to bring a team on board, right? What level of people can we do this with, and what do they need to come on board with Vrex?
You're pinpointing a very important issue here, and that is one of the main reasons why we have partnered up with HP lately. HP from Hewlett-Packard. They have, everybody knows they have a broad range of products and a lot of trust in the business world in particular. So VR is commonly known as something that just kids play with, especially the guys down in their play caves doing games all night long. So there is a big hurdle actually to get it into the business environment, and that's where HP will help. Their headsets are much more business grade than the traditional headsets, where you need an account with some social media company or some gaming equipment on your computer to make it work. But with HP and Vrex, it's a perfect bundle and ready to go. So that will take care of one hurdle, and then I think it's recommendable to think that VR is something we use to get the people that aren't 3D experts into the equation. So the different tradesmen, the guys out on the field that have the experience and that are used to walking around, inspecting a work site early in the morning, late at night, making the task list. They can do the same in the 3D model.
So hold on, you're going to get the cavemen in the field, right? You're going to get them. I mean, look, I remember when I couldn't get them to get a fax machine on a job site. I was begging people to have please have, I'd write in their subcontract, you have to have a fax machine, right? And then our tech people said, no, we have to go to laptops. I'm like, what are you talking about? You're never going to get them to get laptops on a job site. There's no way. The job sites, no way. They're not going to spend the money and they're going to break and no one's going to have them out there. So how do you get them out? So how do you get it out there?
Yeah, you hold them under your head and then you put the goggles on. Yeah.
So hold them down, put a set of goggles on them and go, now look.
Yeah. No, it is actually almost like that. I have a good example about a plumber. We took our equipment out to a work site and a plumber just laughed at us. So that's toys. That's something that my kid plays with. Give us a moment. Just give us a moment. I'll show you where you will work in 6 months from now. It took him 3 seconds. He put the goggles on, and he said, "What? Who put the boilers there? Behind all the pipes. Whenever a boiler needs maintenance, I have to tear down the pipes and do the whole work over again. And the maintenance period for those boilers is 7 years. So." What is this? And then he turned around and what? And who put the ventilation right over the sink? This just doesn't work. And he had been in the model for 15 seconds and he was convinced. And he actually saved that project for $100,000 in rebuilds. So, and not, if it had gone all the way to hand over all the legal fees and all the misgruntled owners, it would be terrible. So, and there are so many examples of this. We have had superintendents that have been trained on Solibri or other applications for years, and they never implemented in the daily use. But when they got the headset on and the task list inside the model, it was just like doing it the old-fashioned way, walking around the job site, writing down your issues, and discussing them in the next status meeting. It is a hurdle, but once you're in there, people are easily convinced.
No, I think it all goes back to, for me, my hesitation is the first time I couldn't figure out how to log on. like on anything, right here. By the way, it's usually password related because I never remember. The only person that gets locked out of anything or gets protected from the password is me. I can't remember, was it the password from this one or the password from the last one or the password from the last two ones when they made me change my pass. So usually that just it triggers me, right? I'm afraid I'm not going to remember something. And once I get over, all right, I now have figured out how to save passwords, right? There's a place I put them and I kind of have access to them. And I don't have to remember every password, so I can create a list. And once I got past certain, it's like these little hurdles that keep stopping us from progressing, right? I make up every time I go someplace new that I'm not going to remember my password. Like literally, it's like some sort of psychological problem that comes up. Well, we can bring on some therapists on here to tell me more why it happens. But somewhere I get this like block that I'm not going to remember my password. And the truth is I get through it. And once I go, all right, I go to the page where I keep my passwords. I pull them up. And then I remember every single time I get a new password, I always go back there because now I just don't want to ever forget that. And I found out how easy it is to do that. And now it becomes easier. So once I get through the hurdle that this is going to be some monumental task to log on and get in, and I'm in here and I can see the value of that, just like you're talking about with this plumber, being able to see the real value of, hey, look, I'm going to save you hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars by being able to see this before we start construction, before we start ordering this stuff. And, it brings a whole nother level of collaboration from the designer in the office to the field executioner, or the person that's executing out in the field, and the entire team is now collaborating in a much easier way because they don't have to go anywhere. They can do it from where they're at. That was always the problem. Is I didn't have time to go to your job site or your office to sit down. Now Vrex has me be wherever look. You want to log on from a job site, stop at lunch break. You can log on to Vrex and we can do this together.
Yeah.
Now I've got a whole nother way of doing this in collaboration.
Yeah, I mean, so just to kind of walk you through the process and kind of bring it back to real life. So you're gonna have somebody on your team that is usually typically like a BIM specialist or a BIM manager or a VDC engineer, et cetera. And they're sort of going to, be the main person connecting Vrex to your BIM workflows and creating these environments, right? That's all really pretty dead simple, but that's, sort of the biggest hurdle is getting somebody in-house who's up to speed with how to make that happen. Again, really pretty easy in general. But then once you have that person, they're going to be able to invite people to projects just through the web UI, really simply by just adding an email address. At which point you'll be prompted in your email. Like, so if let's say, Anthony, I invite you to a project, it'll say, you've been added to this Vrex project, and you go and you click it. If you don't have the software, installed, then it will prompt you to do so. And off you go. And then now you're in this project and you're going to be able to access that simply and easily. One thing that's really important is that for folks who don't have a VR headset, they can access it through our laptop mode or desktop mode. And that will run on essentially any old Office PC. So you don't need a high spec machine in order to run that experience as well. So it's really easy to enable pretty much everyone on the project with just a couple of quick clicks. And then for those folks who aren't BIM specialists and who don't understand those workflows, and they're much better at installing piping as opposed to installing software, they're going to be able to just sort of have a one-click experience to be able to get things up and running.
I love that, right? A one-click experience. That's what I need. I want a one-click experience, and having someone on the team and, really setting that up. I think that's the joy of it, right? Because usually, by the time it gets to our group, we're general contractors. We're not the specialists in this, but I love being invited to those type of meetings where we can collaborate with the design team, so we can really give some great input. And I think that's the future of our game. The part of us where we all worked in these little silos and we didn't capture or collaborate together, that ultimately costs us all money, time, and brain damage, right? The more that I can bring a team together and really create a team that trusts and builds clarity and vision, and we can see what's going on here, the clearer I can do that, it really brings our team in a much broader way. Now, with Vrex, that's one of the products you guys have. Talk about you guys all together. What's some of the other stuff that Vrex does?
Vrex is our primary offering at this current moment. It is, our main product and our main focus. I think that delivering a product to do what we're accomplishing now and what we intend to accomplish in the future does take a pretty high level of focus from the team, and so diversifying into other products that Hans probably has more insight into that. But
what I can say is that Vrex isn't only focusing on the construction industry. This is, of course, a tool that can be applied across all industries where you have 3D models, point scans, or any kind of valuable 3D data that you want to collaborate around. So we are working with other industries as well, and we have the broadest feature set set of supported formats to import models in the industry. So you can import all the equipment that you need inside a factory. You BIM up the factory in a BIM model, and then you fill it with all the equipment that you need. And then you have the perfect digital twin or digital organism that you can work with and do changes to, and see what if we change the workflow of this equipment here and have the trucks come in here and out there instead. And you can do all these kind of modeling inside Vrex and talk about it with experts coming in from around the world. So that's why some of the largest industry companies also use this. They build their new factories.
To echo that, BIM isn't just silo to construction. As Hans mentioned, like we have folks that are in food processing, in pharmaceuticals, in medical device manufacturing, the energy sector, obviously vertical construction, data centers, that kind of stuff too. But it really does run a huge gamut, as BIM does, So basically we're as far reaching as BIM is.
It's amazing. So as you take a point cloud image, BIM models, as you take those things and whatever the platform is, if it's healthcare, how about safety? How does it impact safety and the benefits of safety?
The way point scans are used in modern work sites today is a perfect example. So you have a scanning process going around on a daily basis, scanning the work site and see where equipment is and materials are put. And sometimes they are put in the wrong place and are health hazards for the work site, or are impacting the logistics of the work coming in the next day. So having these point scans on a continuous basis and viewing them together inside Vrex makes perfect sense to decrease or increase safety in any project.
Another interesting safety application is particularly in the energy field and offshore sites. So, before you throw somebody on a helicopter out into, a couple 100 miles off into the middle of the ocean, it's wise to get them into that, into that digital twin environment virtually. Yeah. So that way, before they go and perform any maintenance or any installation they need to perform, they can actually be in the space first and understand, hey, do I need to tie off here? Do I need to get a ladder here? Like, what is the actual steps and processes that we need to do to make sure that we're safe? And VR really provides the perfect environment for that.
I think it's really amazing. To me, I see this this whole communication piece, really a collaboration, really creating a future that paints the picture. Our number one issue we have is how well our project managers and superintendents can paint the picture for the clients and the subcontractors that work for us, right? How do we paint that picture of what we want done, what's been done, what we're gonna get done, kind of, and where we are in that process. And as we get tools that collaborate much clearer, right? Like this, where we can be in space and look at it and go, all right, great. Here's what we're going to work on here. And then the subcontractor can go back and figure any of the issues that might impact us there before we ever even pick up a wrench, or before we pick up a hammer and we're working on a job site. It just gives us all a much clearer vision of the work that needs to happen. And I can see a future where this is also reporting back to us. And as we continue to develop this technology, I often say we're on this precipice of amazing growth. We are today where the bag phone was to the cell phone, in the original days, right? We're in the beginning stages of something really, this is an advanced product, right? This product is an advanced product, but I can even imagine as you guys continue to grow and your development, your team has got something very special. And as you continue to grow, we want to hear about that. We want to, our team and our audience wants to hear about all the progress that you're making as you develop these things. What do you guys see in the next few months or few years coming up?
Yeah, I see that there's a lot of learning will happen in utilizing these tools, because the best we can do is try to digitalize something that we have done in the past and use new tools and get more efficient about it. And typically you have weekly status meetings. There's no reason to having them weekly. It can happen instantly. Just the right people meeting at the right time in the model, continuously shifting. There's no necessity for it to be on Friday at 2:00. You can jump in and do it whenever you want. Have an iterative process like you're used to chatting with people on Slack or whatever applications you're used that have increased the efficiency of how people collaborate. That same way of working will come inside the 3D model as well. So, and that of course opens up for creating much more complex models, much more valuable models. I also see more sharing of the models. So ownership of the model will be clearly defined, but some people will take an open source approach to this and say, yeah, this was a public building. The public should own the model as well. So you can go and pick parts from that model and use it as examples for your own project. Imagine public housing projects funded by the state. The models should be public. So if it's funded public, the models should be public for everybody to use, accelerate and create more better buildings. So that's one way. And also all the information, all the different information sources that we have on a building site or in different kind of projects, it will all come together. But you need to understand the information, and you need to collaborate around it. So it's about bringing people together, making them understand the information, sharing their ideas, insights, and knowledge, making decisions.
The Chinese are the best. Sometimes I know our developers get really, really kind of, excuse the word, pissy about their borrowing of our technology, right? They kind of borrow it, right? Quote unquote, and then they build off of the work we've done, right? And there's a lot of we get a lot of snooty developers around here that they took that's ours, and they don't think of it that way. They think of it as, why go reinvent the wheel? Why not just take what's already been learned and grow from there? Now, this open sourcing is, what you're talking about is really the way to advance much faster, right? When I stop acting like I own this and this is, and I'm not sharing this with you, and I start to now, the problem is, I want to get paid for this, right? At the end of the time, we put a lot of work and a lot of effort in this, and sometimes we get short-sighted and trying to figure out how to do both, right? How to develop quickly, and there's that complexity of I've got to make a buck on it, or I can't pay. I can't continue to grow like this if I don't make a buck on it. It takes a lot to put these teams together. Even the best charities that my wife and I work on, we've got to raise funds. And that's the hardest thing we do with these charities is, we go to do work on them. And, I've pimped out more of my friends for dollars for projects. And we look at the charities, and now the first thing we do is find ways we have to make funds for them and create revenue for the charity so that, it's an ongoing, because it doesn't do us much good if we build something and, Vrex can't just, they're not a charity. They need funds to grow. And what you're up to is changing the construction world. And as the brands and the companies that are out there that can take this technology and really speak to their clients in a whole different way, as they can speak to their subcontractors in a whole nother way, you can really see how this is going to save millions and millions of dollars. I mean, millions and millions of pounds of waste, carbon footprint that's really affecting our planet, and really make those ginormous steps in being so much more efficient, especially as what we need. We need construction to move faster. What's coming at us is an enormous clip. This business is not going anywhere. In fact, my predictions are that, with all the people we talk to, we are going to accelerate. The need for development in the coming years is going to accelerate. Just the number of people on the planet, the number of projects that are available, the number of areas that we're growing in, it is all accelerating at an amazing pace. So having tools that do that in a cost-effective manner like this, saving airplane tickets and waste and all the stuff that goes along that, I think is really, real impactful. Well, guys, I got to tell you, I've loved having you on. Every time you come up with a new product, Hans and Brian, please, you got to come back to the show and show off your new goods, because when Eric and Megan came in the office and told me about this, and I went and saw the little avatar guys, I was like, this is it. This is the awesome stuff that I'm talking about. The places where we're seeing leapfrogs in growth in our business. So it's been a pleasure having you on the show, and I really have enjoyed dancing with the thought of this and really looking at how you've progressed the business, and want to continue to show off your products as you guys make those advances.
It's been a great pleasure to be here talking to you, Anthony. And as I told you in the intro, I listen to your show, and you bring on the most innovative technology. And I'm really proud to be part of it. So thank you, Anthony.
Thanks, Hans. Thanks very much.
Yeah, and just to echo that, thank you so much for having us on. It's been an awesome conversation, and much and greatly appreciated.
Thanks, Brian. And guys, and audience, again, we get how we keep doing these great shows is by you guys liking and subscribing. So please take a second right now and like and subscribe to the show. That's how we keep putting on this great product out there, is when you guys like and subscribe. So thanks for being a listener, guys. Thanks for being on the show, and we look forward to having you on again. Thanks for joining us. My name is Anthony Amunategui, always looking for people to bring insight into the industry, finding ways to inspire people to have amazing careers in the development world. If you liked our podcast, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below. If you really liked our podcast, make sure you hit the little bell. Thanks again for listening. Please share it with your friends.